Hi, I'm Mr. Greenfield. I run the Tech Ed program here at Chelmsford High School. This is the Tech Ed shop, and what we're doing, I'm going to introduce some students that participated in a student council project that was, we're dedicating a bench in memorial of 9/11 victims, and several students worked on this project. And some of the main students are right here. I'd like to introduce Shannon Hatch, who is the main designer, and she's the first girl to take advanced technology courses here. And John Dodd, Paul Reed, Steve Costello, and Mike Roy. And this is the bench that we're working on. It's in progress. It's going to be installed tomorrow. And I'll let the students explain the process that they went through in building this.
Hi, my name is John Dodd. We are going over the construction part of the 9/11 bench that we're doing for high school right now. As you can see, we have our cement base, which sits in the ground about 6 inches deep. We have our 2 posts here that we molded out of the 2 molds right here, the shape of a pentagon. As you can tell right here, because it is the Pentagon from Washington, D.C. Got hit during 9/11, so this was all welded and everything from the kids, and we did this perfect, so we got that all set. We have 2 posts here. We have 2 anchors in here, which is just pieces of angle iron that were cut up in, and they're set in there so that when the bench comes on top of it, it'll sit in here. We can screw that in so it holds up tight.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Yu. I'm the chairman of the September 11th Memorial that's taking place. Right now you see Paul Reed and Dan Gilfeather digging up the ground for the mulch area that we're doing. It's preparation for Thursday. This memorial was started about 2 years ago. A former vice president of student councils had the idea of maybe creating a memorial for the victims of September 11th. So, and when she left, she passed it down to a senior now, Amrita, and then it was passed down to me last year. So now I'm the chairman of it, so I take part in all the decisions and getting the donations from everything like that, such as the mulch that we got from Agway. We want to thank them for donating such a generous amount of mulch and rocks for the foundation of the memorial. The memorial was created by the Tech Ed students and Mr. Greenfield. I greatly appreciate them for helping us. It was their volunteer work that was greatly appreciated. They helped build such a magnificent bench that is just gorgeous. So I'm happy about that. As you have seen before, the bench it's elaborate with the eagle on it, with the leaves and the arrows, and it's dedication to the victims that happened on that day. I'm very honored to be part of this project. It's a very significant, one of the most significant memorials here at Chelmsford High School, and I'm happy to be part of it. On Thursday morning, we will have Mr. Thomas and I be making a speech to the school about the project and about September 11th and significance of it. And then after that, we will be playing a song. It's by Enrique Iglesias. It's called Hero, and it has tiny clips of messages from September 11th, people talking about the plane crash and everything like that, and it's a very, very touching song, I thought it was. Then after that, at 9 o'clock, we will be having a bunch of people coming out here for memorial service. We'll have the superintendent, Dr. Mosier, Mr. Thomas, all the deans, and all the Tech Ed students that participated in the building of the bench. And we'll be here to lay carnations down to the memorial. And the social studies department will be on the side watching from a view because they would like to be part of this event. And that's about it. I'm very happy to be part of it, and I'm hoping it goes well on Thursday. And I just want you to remember and never forget what happened on September 11th, because it's such an important day for us to remember that we don't ever want to happen again.
All right, hi, I'm Shannon Hatch. I designed the project and worked quite a bit on it. This was the original design, and it was modified quite a bit so we could work with the media. Mr. Greenfield and I, after I sketched out the design, sat down and talked about the color scheme, and basically just sent me on my way and was just figured it out yourself. So I just went through the materials that we have in the shop and picked what would look good and worked from there.
Was it a challenge? What was the biggest challenge?
As far as materials go,
About anything. What
the
was
material is very limited, so it was hard choosing what we were going to use.
What
The
was very
biggest,
limited?
the materials that we have in the shop, because the school cut. But the hardest thing about the project was probably the measurements, because we had to have the two legs come up and fit exactly into the frame and fit exactly into the actual bench. And if they were just a little bit off, it created quite difficulties. So that was definitely the hardest.
Right here is our main part of the whole project. Here is the base. Shannon Hatch came up with this whole thing. She came up with the design of it with the ceramics and the glass. We got our brass here with the paint and everything. It's the eagle because it symbolizes, it was from the $1 bill. It symbolizes, United States. And if you count here, there is 9 stars and 11 leaves for 9/11. Shannon did a great job on this. It took her a while. Took her a really long time, but it came out awesome. And I thought it is an amazing bench right there.
Flo created an idea 4 years ago of having a Hope Garden, but it converted to being a September 11th Memorial Garden. My junior year, I was approached about being the chairman of it, so I have been chairman for a year, and it's finally finished. And I'd like to introduce Mr. Thomas, who's going to say a speech for us today.
I ask you to pause for a moment in remembrance of those who died on September 11th, and in support of the survivors and all of those whose lives were changed by that event. Thank you. Any comments that I can make this morning are inadequate due to the magnitude of the event that we're commemorating. So keep that in mind as I struggle through a few things. In November of 1963, I was a freshman at Springfield College, and in those days I had a little more hair than I have now. And I was sitting in the barber chair when there was a news broadcast that came over the radio, and it said, there are early reports that the President of the United States may have been shot. And a few moments later, those reports were confirmed. John Fitzgerald Kennedy had been killed. Needless to say, we were all stunned. As a young, vibrant world leader, he was taken from us by a man named Lee Harvey Oswald. As I walked back to campus, it was a day very much like today. It was a beautiful fall day. I was struck by the fact that everything stopped. When I went onto campus, because it was nice, all the dorm windows were open. And the only thing you could hear were the radio broadcasts, similar to the ones you heard in part this morning, and birds. Nothing else. Nobody was doing another thing. We were all somewhat afraid. Questions immediately popped up. Was this a conspiracy? Would other leaders be shot? Was the United States of America being attacked? For the first time in my life, I didn't take democracy, my country, or the security of our nation for granted. On the morning of September 11th, 2001, I was at a meeting here at Chelmsford High School. Mr. Meidel had stepped out of the main office conference room for a moment, and when he returned, he informed us that a plane had flown into one of the World Trade Towers. Needless to say, we were shocked by that event. Of course, it wasn't an accident. That initial crash was just the start of an attack on major symbols of American military and economic power. Later, another plane crashed and the towers crumbled to the ground. I couldn't believe it then. and I still have trouble accepting it. I, like many of you, have been to the top of those towers. I hated it. They're too tall. I hate height. Sometimes when you looked up, you couldn't see the top, and sometimes you're on top and you look down, you couldn't see the bottom, and I don't like that. And to think that it was all gone was just beyond my ability to deal with. And it still is. I see the hole on TV. I've never been to the site, but I see the hole on TV, and you know the size of that complex, and it disappeared. It's beyond comprehension. In 1963, the American people were shaken, and after a period of mourning, the nation moved on. But we've never forgotten. In 2001, the American people were shaken. Our mourning is not over. Our nation is still working to rebuild our economy and our national security. We've spent billions of dollars and hundreds of lives. We've helped the families of the victims and will continue to do so. The American people have once again been reminded that democracy and the American way of life have to be earned and protected time after time, day after day. Today we pause to remember that and to remember all of those who have given and will give their lives to those ends. In conclusion, I want to recognize the work of Mr. Greenfield and these students. At Chelmsford High School, we think that civic action is important. We're meeting as a leadership group in the building right now to build on this concept. And here's a case where people recognize the need to help the people at Chelmsford High School to heal and deal with the situation, and they did something about it. And I'm extremely proud of their efforts. I'm extremely proud of the efforts of Jennifer Wu and the members of the Student Council who pressed me into action and got me to have things happen. So we'll continue for a few more minutes, and as you pass through the rest of the day, just reflect from time to time. It is a nice day, but bad things happen on nice days sometimes, and we need to keep that in mind, and we need to keep the victims of those tragic occasions in mind. Thank you very much.
at all lunches, so please, I strongly suggest all teachers and students, it's only 25 cents. The money goes to the United Way September 11th Fund. The money will go to immediate families that lost victims for burial costs or any long income costs. Thank you.